Nimi Chakravarti asked the 9 yogis who visited the yaga when he was performing a great yaga in Videhanagara. Seeing them, he understood how great they were. So he suddenly rose up from his seat. He was performing. He was the Yajamana of the whole sacrifice. And so many Ritviks, Acharyas and the others were present. It was a very rare, great, lofty ceremony ritual. All the people have come. Everything is going on well. Suddenly, unannounced, arrived 9 yogis. Understanding their greatness, he rose up from his seat, stopped the whole performance, welcomed them, washed their feet, made them sit, and he sat before them cross-legged. All the acharyas also came and sat before them. Then he asked, I am very happy that you have come. I feel extremely fortunate. My whole yaga has assumed an altogether different elevation now by your presence. Normally we are performing a yaga, calling deities who are never seen and who are never felt. Here suddenly, unexpectedly 9 yogis have come. So he said, my yaga has become greatly fulfilled. I have only one question before you. Please let me know what are the Bhagavata Dharmas. What? Bhagavata Dharmas. Bhagavata means a devotee. Dharma means the characteristics, the thought pattern, the attitude pattern, the outlook, the behavior, the interaction of a devotee. Have you ever made such an inquiry? We only have a saligrama or a shivalinga in our home or a picture, and every day we collect or buy flowers and put them. Very good. At least that much you are doing. But has it occurred to you? Whom am I worshipping? What does the God want me to do? Am I a devotee? Is there any correction or improvement to be made in me? Where lies devotional sublimity, devotional purity, devotional elevation, devotional expansion, devotional enlightenment? Where does it lie? Who will tell me this? No God will ever tell you this. Either your own devotional mind will have to come up with the answers, or somebody enlightened in this path. So when he found an occasion, he suddenly submits himself and inquires about Bhagavata Dharmas. One of the yogis who started speaking in turn one after the other, one of them said, devotion should enlarge and expand the mind of the devotee. When we see a deity and we start worshipping, I am looking at the deity. When I look at the deity and my focus is on the deity, all around there is sky and space. There I don't find my God. I find Him only. So am I missing Him more or am I finding Him more? Boliye na thoda. I go to the sanctum sanctorum and I focus at a particular deity. So the surroundings are not God for me. The temple precincts are not God for me. I find my God only in the deity. Very good. That is how you should begin. When we start counting figures, I don't know, in my young age, finger was the medium. So the primary class teachers will say, 1, fold. If I don't fold, he will hit me. 1 is being said by the mouth, understood by the intelligence. But he wants me to fold the finger. So 2 plus 3, how much? 2 plus 3, 2 plus 3, 2 plus 3. 3, 4, 5. If I don't fold my finger, he was hitting me. Not that I have been hit. Then when I grow old, if he asks me, 12 by 13 how much? Or 12 by 6 how much? If I fold my finger, then also he will hit me. Initially for not folding, later on for folding. So it is to begin with very good. Devotion is on the deity, in the temple, etc. But as a devotee, you should grow. So he starts speaking what? Kham vayumagnim salilam mahim cha. Your devotion should start enlarging and expanding. It should expand to what? Come, sky. What? We have carved a stone idol, or a wood idol, or an earth clay idol. Clay, wood or stone, all of them are extracted from the earth. The earth is a very small mustard-like planet in the huge world. Where are all the planets and the heavenly bodies hovering? Within the womb of space. So the space was first. Thereafter alone all these planets came. And finally a small portion from the earth got broken. It became cooled and it became the earth, and we are living upon it. Take your imagination further and further and further and go to the sky. Come, sky. Vayumagnim. Next is Vayu, air. Agni, fire. You don't understand what I say? Yes. Kam Vayumagnim Salilam Mahimja. Then water. Mahimja. Then the earth. So earth comes as the fifth. And our idol comes what? These are man-made idols. What? When we make a temple, it is our temple architecture. Our deity. It is the sculptor who makes it. And he makes it out of a small piece of stone. What about the rock? What about the mountain? What about the earth? These are all God-made. The God-made things are not deities for us. But the man-made items are deities. Tell me whether you find a contradiction there or not. But it is very good. It is necessary. Because if I start explaining this, even children and elderly people may not understand me. Kam Vayumagnim Salilam Mahimja Jodimshi Satvani Disho Drumadin. Jodimshi, all the luminaries in the sky. Satvani, so many different types of beings. Disho Drumadin, all the 8 directions. Drumadin, trees, plants, herbs, creepers and what not. Sarit, the rivers. Samudramsha, the oceans. Have you understood? All these are Harehe Shariram. All these are together constituting God's body. Yat kincha bhudam pranamed ananyaha. Understanding that this is so, elevating your mind from the deity to the whole universe, and understanding that everything is equally constituting the visible body of God whom I worship. Pranamed ananyaha. Prostrate before everything, everyone. You may not physically prostrate, but mentally you must be able to prostrate. This is how the devotional characteristics are explained. My dear souls, expand your mind, elevate your mind. Grow from the half-an-hour worship to a 24-hour unbroken worship. What? If your act of half an hour can become a worship, why not your act of 24 hours become a worship? Why are you becoming a miser, kanjus? Because you are not prepared for it. I want only half an hour worship. 23 and a half hours, I want to do what I like. And invariably my God does not approve of it. So I will restrict my worship to half an hour. You see, every time we open the puja room, what do we say? My dear God, please come here. I have finished my puja. I close the door. Leave me to myself and remain where you are. This is what we are saying. See, we don't want God to come after us, to be with us. When the telecast began, that Mukti Sudhakaram, the thoughts of the telecast were filling my mind. I first of all composed about 12 or 18 verses. They were in Malayalam. See, so far I have been talking to a crowd who is visible before me, who are seated. Now, I have to talk to an unseen crowd, and that too for a long time. Many episodes it could be. So this is an altogether new mission. So in order to do that well, my dear Krishna, you have to be with me, I said. In order to do it well, be with me, make sure. So far as my preference is concerned, I always like to make people think. What? The entire world, it is beautiful, it is alluring, it is enchanting, it is fascinating. So if we have a fascinating world or a fascinating object in our front, our eyes which show that it is a fascinating object, and our mind which makes the eyes see the object, my intelligence which is able to discriminate and make it beautiful and enchanting, tell me which is more beautiful, the object seen or the eyes seeing, or the mind that enables the eyes to see, the intelligence which makes you discriminate and understand. Which is more beautiful?
Mind.
Have you ever thought of it? The moment we see an object like moth, we run into it. Which is more beautiful? A mind which can host a whole universe. The body is very limited. Inside the limited body, you are perceiving and hosting a whole universe in the form of an impression. 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 Tell me whether the world or the universe is greater, or the mind that hosts it greater. थोड़ा बोलिए ना सोच कर. If I take 100 liters of water and keep it in a tank, the tank must have sufficient space to keep the 100 liters of water. So if my mind contains a universe, that container mind should be slightly at least bigger than the universe. But we have no appreciation for the mind. And we are enchanted and hoodwinked by what we see outside. So my dear Krishna, I always like to tell people about the greater glory of their own inside. Keep it in mind. Say, when I start discussing, mostly I speak about Krishna and Krishna's Gospels, either Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavata or things like that. Similarly, Upanishads also. I always want to speak and explain about them in the manner in which the authors themselves would have felt and wanted. So one of my listeners, one of my viewers, he has written, Swamiji, we never knew of a Srimad Bhagavatam of this kind. We have heard a number of Saptahams. Kerala is a land of Saptahas. You don't know, hundreds of Saptahams are held in Kerala every day. And there are so many exponents. It has almost become a profession now. Somebody accompanies an exponent, a teacher, a Saptaham conductor, and he goes along with him for 2 years or 3 years and he becomes an exponent. Very easy to get a certificate. This is what is happening in Kerala. And they are doing it well, I should say. So we never heard of a Srimad Bhagavatam like this. We feel Shukamuni and Vedavyasa themselves are speaking. We have never seen Vedavyasa Maharshi, but we now see how he speaks. Such remarks also are there. So I always want to deliver the message in the manner in which Krishna himself would have wanted it. Whenever I speak on Bhagavad Gita, that is my intention. I never try to torture the text, twist the text, nothing like that. I speak whatever is there. I have written a few pages on Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. Sri Krishna makes a reference in Bhagavad Gita about Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. I think Vivekananda Swami sometimes has said, this particular reference, description by Krishna, even now it is not explained and understood. I happened to read it when I was in Calcutta in my pre-sannyasa days. At that time, that went into my heart. I never thought that I would write on Bhagavad Gita or explain it. So when I came to the Uttarayana and Dakshinayana portion, I gave an explanation. Generally, Uttarayana is referred to as the northward journey of the sun, 6 months. And Dakshinayana is the southward journey. I say it can never be. First of all, the sun never journeys. What? Then our understanding is wrong. And how do you divide the whole full year into Uttarayana and Dakshinayana, saying that one is holy and the other is not holy? Let the sun go northward and never return. So he has to return in order to go again. So how can you say returning is bad and going is good? If you go on a pilgrimage, you go and you come back. Coming back is sinful and going alone is virtuous. These are all half-digested ideas of people. So the word Uttara means lift up, elevate. So Uttarana means that by virtue of which you are elevated. And Dakshina means going around and around and again. Pradakshina means what? So the Dakshinayana path is the path of ignorance, delusion and repetition. Uttarayana path is the path of light, wisdom and elevation and fulfillment. This is the explanation in short I have given. I think one day it will become known and people will understand. No, at least a few thousands of people have read it and nobody has written to me saying that this is wrong. Some have acknowledged that this is very elevating, we never thought. Even Bhishma was lying on the battleground, Kurukshetra, waiting for Uttarayana to come. So, what about the people who are dying in Dakshinayana? People will have to die in both ayanas. And there is a prayaschitta done when people die in Dakshinayana. Now, this is the ignorant path, the delusional path, the distortional path. The path of elevation is everything is God. Godliness alone is there. Whether you fall in the house or in the hospital or in the road, by an accident or by an incident, it makes no difference at all. We are dying on the lap of God. Can you think in this manner? Boliye na? I don't think. If you want to think, I am happy. Let my body drop anywhere, as Shankara has written. Kulyayam athanadyam va shivakshetre pichatvare parnam patati chettena taroh kimnu shubhashubham. There is a tree. A number of leaves are there. One leaf happens to fall. Where? Kulyayam athanadyam va. It may be in a dirty drain. Or maybe in a holy river. Shivakshetre, maybe a Shiva temple. Chatvare, the four-road crossing point. Parnam patati chettena, if the leaf falls there, the leaf has already left the tree and it is falling somewhere. Wherever it falls, is the tree affected? Thoda boliye na. Huh? Are? Huh? Wherever it falls, what does the tree have to do with it? It has already got disconnected. Taroh kimnu shubhashubham. For the tree, what holiness or unholiness, what piety or non-piety will be there? Similarly, you must have the path of enlightenment by which you say, let my body drop anywhere. What? My body is dropping, is it not? So when it drops, it is disconnected from me. In whatever manner it is treated, in what way am I affected? Huh? I remove a shirt and throw it away and you burn it. You mean to say, I am getting burned? This is the path of enlightenment. Can you catch it? I don't think. See, this is called Uttarayana. It is a path of wisdom. Here is a man who says, I have no refuge anywhere in this world. You alone are. I am being scorched all around by the wild fire. Please cool me. This is what he says. Cool me. Cool me. I am being scorched. You know, we are all born differently. With a number of merits, skills, excellences and what not. Our ego will not allow us to say that I am being scorched by the wildfire. I don't find any refuge at all. So if one person is able to say so, that man is the greatest according to our estimation. When he goes to the Guru, what will he do? He can only prostrate and register his humility. And this prostration, though physical, it starts in the physical level. I mentioned to you all about it. Ultimately, you are supposed to prostrate before the whole universe. The whole universe. Pranamed ananyaha. Ananyaha. So try to get up. Get up. From the small and short identification of the deity and the picture, my dear souls, you are all devotees, very good devotees. But don't be constricted in your devotional approach. We have to go to the temple, we have to worship there sincerely, zealously, wholesomely, feelingfully. Don't talk within the temple any household matters. Don't start greeting people there. Go there, go there. The moment you enter the precincts of the temple, only God's name should sing, should dance in your mouth and heart. Nothing else. If you start going to temple in this manner, you may not have to go many days there. Maybe 3 or 4 or 6 months. By the time that devotional sublimity will come to you, and you will start feeling, my deity is only representing my God. And my God is universal in dimension. So my linkage must be with the universal God. With the universal God. With the universal God. The deity helps me in my constricted level, in my low level, in my kindergarten level. In English there is a proverb, it is good to be born in a church, but it is not good to die in a church. So we need the temple, but the temple has to be approached tenderly, devotionally, heartily, feelingfully, fondly, dedicatedly. What do you mean by worship? You are taking flowers every day. If you are able to take the flowers, clean them up and offer them, I don't think you can offer many times. Once, twice. Your hand will stop. It will not move. When devotion grips you, it will not move. It's a question of feelingfulness. You must have the feeling. A tender worship you must do. So I find a lot of culture in this statement. Bhitam prabannam paripahi murtyoho. Srimad Bhagavata puts it in this manner. Gurur na sasyat swajano na sasyat. Pita na sasyat janani na sasyat. Daivam na tatsyat. Na patischa sasyat. Namo jayedya samupeta mrityum. You are all one member or another of your family. And this is what Srimad Bhagavata says. Right in the beginning, the Srimad Bhagavata author says that I am discussing the supreme truths in a very naked manner, without any fear, favor or shyness. Openly declaring. This is one such declaration. Gurur na sasyat, svajano na sasyat. We have got a number of associations. The Guru is not a Guru. What? Your Guru is not a Guru. Gurur na sasyat, svajano na sasyat. Your relative or friend is not a relative at all. Pita na sasyat. The father is no father. Janani na sasyat. The mother is no mother. What more? Daivam na tatsyat. The object of worship called God, the deity or the picture, is no God at all. Na patischa sasyat. The husband is no husband. When? Namo jayedya samupeta mrityum. If he is not able to deliver you from the impending death, from the clutches of death, if he is not able to deliver you, then he is not a Guru. The object of worship is not God. The husband is no husband. The mother is no mother. The father is no father. The friend or the relative is no friend. Until he is able to liberate you from the hard clutches of death. This is what Bhagavata says. What do you say? How many of you have a right to become father? According to Srimad Bhagavatam. If you give birth to a child, you are the Brahma of the child. Be sure that you can show your child the path of liberation. Unless you are able to do so, Bhagavata doesn't give you the status of a father. And similarly, a guru must be able to liberate the Shishya from the clutches of death. Otherwise, he is not a guru. Let him resign his portfolio and go away. The deity also will not be a deity unless it is able to give you the message of liberation.